The U.S. House of Representatives has approved a defense bill that includes new sanctions against Iran. Now, the sanctions in the $633 billion bill target Iran's energy, shipping, and shipbuilding sectors, as well as its ports. The new measures also impose sanctions, that is, on Iran's broadcasting. The vote was 315 to just 107. The new defense bill earmarks $88.5 billion for the war in Afghanistan. It also gives $17 billion to U.S. nuclear program. The bill also authorizes some $480 million for Israel's missile system. The measure now awaits Senate approval before being signed into law by the president. The White House has already threatened to veto the bill. Well, joining us now from Berkeley, California via Skype is political commentator Ralph Schonman to give us his take on the situation. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Mr. Schonman. Now, missiles for Israel, a ban on Iranian media. It goes in stark contradiction to what the U.S. claims it stands for. Tell me what you think about it.
Well, the U.S. doesn't stand for anything except imperial policy, and it doesn't attempt to disguise that reality. The sanctions that you're describing are really acts of war, and of course the expansion of the sanctions to affect media and communication are an expression of the attempt of the United States to eliminate discussion or information that exposes the nature of its aggressive operations. I would like to point out that these decisions or votes by the Senate are in conjunction with the United Nations Security Council, which has now imposed new sanctions on 2 Iranian companies. And the claim is that Iran has been smuggling arms to Syria. Now, the irony, of course, of this is that here you have the full-scale global war being waged by NATO and the surrogates in the Middle East, such as Qatar and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia and Turkey, in arming the mercenary operations of the so-called rebels in Syria on an unlimited basis, and with meetings in Morocco representing nominally 130 countries waging war in Syria and sending openly arms and troops and intelligence operatives to Syria. But when 2 Iranian companies send arms to the government of Syria in order to respond to this, that is the subject of sanctions, and this services the expansion of sanctions by the Senate. It's war. It's an imperial agenda, and it will be continually expanded because that's the intention of the United States.
Right. So the White House has already threatened to block this bill. What do you think is the main motivation behind it?
Well, behind the attempt on the part of the White House, well, I think what you're referring to with respect to the White House threat of a veto is only the formulations within the language of the bill. The White House is not less involved or behind the expansion of sanctions, but the White House wants to have a greater degree of control about when and how to expand and implement specific sanctions with respect to communication, and that's strictly a tactical issue. It has no content other than that. The increasingly aggressive sanctions that are being attempting to not just destroy the economy of Iran, but the economy of Syria is also involved in this, are part of the preparation for war. Unfortunately, this is the real agenda which we see unfolding in Syria, preparations for like activity in Iran. And that's the content of the Senate activity and the expansion of these sanctions. And the White House is only maneuvering within that framework to accomplish its aims, which are similar and identical.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. That was political commentator Ralph Schonman. They're joining us via Skype from Berkeley, California. Many thanks indeed, sir, for your comments here on Press TV.